Hello and welcome to season 3 of the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Carolyne Opinde. I am the founder of the NGO Whisperer. We are a consulting business that provides technical support to nonprofits so they can successfully impact people's lives. Joining us today from Russia is Kseniya Filinova-Bruton. She is the founder of Educape Trust and its flagship program, Shakespeare Schools Festivals. Kseniya, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Caroline, and thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. It's great to be here.
It is such an honor and a pleasure to have you today. You are one of our longest standing client here at the NGO Whisperer. Kseniya, you studied performance arts in one of the most prestigious universities in the world, in Russia. And then you decided to move to South Africa. What inspired you to do that?
I was fortunate to actually travel to South Africa before my formal studies, and I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the climate. I think South Africa has a most amazing, most unique energy about everything about the country. Just really drew me back. And once I completed my performing arts formal education, got my degree, I felt that there's a great opportunity to bring my education to South Africa, to the people of South Africa, to children and the youth, and bring my classical sort of upbringing in the theatre, as my childhood also happened to be in the theatre space. My mom was an actress, my father was a director of the theatre. So for me, theatre, performing arts was everything I live and breathe. And studying in Russia and having a chance to bring my education, my experience to South Africa and work with amazing young children, amazing youth, teachers. There's just an incredible talent that I found exists in South Africa in the context of cultural diversity and how rich people are with different cultures that could bring into the performing arts space, and mixed with some of my experiences and my Russian upbringing, my Russian education, I felt it could be just an amazing explosion of some creativity and positivity for the people in South Africa that I could bring.
That is absolutely wonderful. I know you have taught in schools, but after a while you decided to establish a nonprofit called the Educape Trust, and one of its flagship programs is Shakespeare Schools Festivals. Why did you decide to go away from teaching into the nonprofit sector?
Well, teaching was a great experience. I have taught a number of schools in South Africa. I guess my longest teaching career was at Wynberg Boys High School in Cape Town. And there I established a drama society, which was a starting point of developing the concept of the festival and thinking about how I can officially register as an organization. I guess my personal ambition was to grow personally, grow professionally in a space of being able to be in charge of a project that comes from, my experience, my love for theatre, and opportunity came with the concept of Shakespeare Schools Festival, and Educape Trust was born as an organization, obviously in need of developing as a non-profit sector. And within the organization and the teaching experience, I've managed to create a few programs under the Educape Trust sort of umbrella, Shakespeare Schools Festival being one of them. And obviously it's a flagship project that's been carrying for almost 10 years. We're celebrating, we'll speak about it a little bit later. But Educape Trust as an organization, I felt it will be just a great opportunity to reach more students than just one school where I was teaching at the moment. So for me, it was just a great way to perhaps reach out to more schools, more learners, and focus on core work that I do within performing arts and theatre and teaching and directing.
Kseniya, I've had the privilege of watching what you do and how you transform young people, from timid young people to courageous young people. You work with children in high school in South Africa, and it's a national program. I know you work with children with disabilities, the blind, physically disabled, as well as children with hearing disability. So you work with the blind, the deaf, and physically disabled children. Share with us, over the last 10 years, what have you been able to achieve through this program that you have, which is your flagship program, Shakespeare Schools Festivals?
It's been an incredible journey over the past 10 years. We started with only 6 schools in Cape Town participating in our 2011 year launch, and only 2 schools in Johannesburg. And over the years, we grew the festival to, I'm humbled to, what reach we actually managed to achieve in terms of numbers. This year we actually reached over 10,000 young people, learners that we worked with over 10 years in various schools, including schools for differently able children. We've worked with number of 693 teachers up to this point, and almost 500 schools all over the country in 5 provinces. I think the achievements with regards to working with the differently able children, as well as, your normal sort of a normal stream children as well, is that this flagship project of Shakespeare Schools Festival allows for all of these children to come together and be united by the works of Shakespeare, to perform on the professional stages of the theatre. And there's no competition level to it. So people, all the children we work with come, perform on an equal level. So that inclusivity of different cultural backgrounds, different social backgrounds, and of course, differently able children that are welcomed. And we call it a Shakespeare family, because every child that comes to our program will become part of our family, regardless of their background, regardless of their different ability. And it's difficult to describe by some of the words how this atmosphere of these young people coming together during the festival days, and how they're supportive of each other, and how each one of them grows in sense of self-confidence, sense of self-worth. And if the child cannot hear, nobody's going to look at him funny and say, you don't belong in this world. We'll celebrate every single person that will be part of our program. And in that celebration, I think what's important is everyone is accepted and everyone has a voice. And the child who might not have a voice in their normal life has a chance to, let this space to be creative and speak and be accepted. And that sense of self-worth, I think, is extremely important for every child, for every young person we work with in our project, especially those with the different abilities.
Most recently, we commemorated the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, or differently abled people as you refer to them. And one of the most important things that I have learned over the years working with different organizations is creating integrated programs is not enough. Creating inclusive programs is not enough, but creating programs where people who are living with disabilities belong is the ultimate goal. I see that in your program. And so I want people to know how a school can be part of your program. Walk us through the process. How does this work?
The process is very simple. Obviously, we have a lot of information available on our website. It's most probably is the first kind of step to take a look and research and read about us. We have a number of resources available that can also be offered to the schools, even prior to them, for them to actually take part in the festival. So it's just a simple communication. We've got a very strong team, and we are always available to respond to emails or phone calls or any messages that might, that people might have questions. And the basic process is to, once again, visit our website. You can take a look at the very simple 6 steps, which are: you choose your play. Obviously, we're focusing on this particular Shakespeare Schools Festival program. And in this program, you will pick your play. And it's a 30-minute script, by the way, so it's not, you're not putting on a big 3-hour production. It's a very accessible process of putting on a short, abridged version of the play. You then will register with us, and you now become part of our training program. So these are the workshops for the teachers and student directors. as in 10 years of our experience, we've seen a lot of high school students actually becoming directors in their own right, which is amazing. So we're growing this sort of profession of directors going into theatre or world. Then, of course, the cast workshops, where all the young people now being part of the cast and the productions will take part in the workshops as well. And our final destination, let's say pre-COVID, obviously now it's a little bit, different, that we've been approaching our delivery of the festival, but usually professional theatre experience, when the schools come to the professional theatre and they will perform on stage, perform their 30-minute production in front of the live audience. And that's when that magic happens, that final destination, when we meet all the cast, meet all the children, they come to the theatre, we celebrate them, we congratulate every school. It's not a competition, as I've mentioned. Each school receive a trophy, certificate, and a big celebration moment on stage, and obviously family and friends and teachers and peers will be in the audience to support their friends on stage. So that's the basic structure of the festival. Very simple. Once again, just to visit the website or contact us, because obviously some schools and some of the outreach groups that we have worked in the past and hoping to work more with might not have financial means, perhaps capacity of teachers or directors, and we have a special supported school program, and that's basically school or an outreach group can apply for this program with us, and we're hoping that funding will be available to support them through the process of being part of our festival, and for them not to raise a lot of cost to be involved with us.
These festivals, as I know them and have experienced them, they are actually professional plays in a theater which is equivalent to your world-class theater, where any actor kind of Broadway kind of showcasing of talent, except that these are high school children. Can you paint a picture to us so people know what type of theaters you have partnered with?
We have a number of theatres in South Africa that we've been partnering with since the inception of the festival, including Artscape and Baxter Theatre in Cape Town. We recently had an absolute great pleasure working with the team at the Fugard Theatre in Cape Town as well. In Johannesburg, we're working with Joburg Theatre and Soweto Theatre. In Durban, it's the Playhouse, Durban Playhouse Company. George Arts Theatre in George. In Makanda, we work with Rhodes University Drama Department. They've got a lovely theatre space at the university that we also partnered with. And we're hoping to step into Port Elizabeth next year and partner with the Little Theatre in PE. So these are the theatre venues at the moment, and we're hoping to grow our partnership to other theatres, and that's part of our objectives for the next few years.
Kseniya, would you please share with us, when the audience walk into the theaters, is this a paid performance where they come and watch, just like they would come and watch Romeo and Juliet? Would they have to pay for it?
Correct. Yes, we do have ticket sales for our festival performances. Obviously, ticket prices will not be anything close to what the Bolshoi Ballet Theatre might be charging our audience. But we do develop the culture of, theatre is also like any other entertainment. People do a lot of work behind the scenes, and these people obviously have to earn a living. So part of our process of raising funds and also covering the cost of the theatre rentals will obviously be a ticket price that audience will have to pay. But we try and keep these ticket prices as low as possible, and obviously make it accessible to the parents and friends of the outreach groups that often might not be able to afford coming into a theatre. And we also often run fundraising initiatives and ask for support, where we could actually raise certain amount of money to go towards the ticket prices, or tickets to be offered for free to those who can't afford it and actually cannot pay for the tickets themselves. So we're quite aware of different type of audience that we do attract to our to our festival, because of the different types of schools that perform, and we try and help those in need as much as we can.
I love the model where you're actually showcasing it and using it to raise funds to support the work that you're doing. Now, when COVID hit, you took the festivals online. How did that work?
Obviously, with COVID, I'm sure everybody can resonate about the shock wave that we all received in the first, when they first heard about the lockdown and the closure of theatres and businesses, obviously struggling as well. So we had to be creative in how we're going to roll out our second part of the festival program this year. We've managed to achieve our usual theatre experience at the Few Gods Theatre in March. So there was a celebration in a physical presence of schools for our 10th anniversary. And our second part of the festival usually takes place in September in all the other provinces. And I personally could not turn around and say this is a failure and our festival has to close the doors and we're not going to continue with the program. For me, it was very important that even though we had a large number of schools cancelling participation due to the fact that the schools were closed, extramural activities were cancelled and schools just physically could not do anything more than just academic work. We saw this as a great opportunity to reach out to the outreach groups, art groups that are based in townships. And we found there's a lot of children and some of the youth leaders and facilitators in those areas actually had a chance to work with the children physically, obviously with all the necessary precautions. And often those children were found in the spaces of wanting to do something, but there was not much for them to do. So we supported 8 outreach groups in different provinces where we work, financially, with the resources, with all the sanitization that was actually necessary for them to conduct some of the rehearsals and filming their productions, which became our first virtual Shakespeare Schools Festival that we hosted over a week. And I think it's a great outcome because we've managed to reach 18 groups overall. 8 of those were outreach and the rest were some that could afford to do it on their own. And additionally, we also ran a program that's now being part of the Educape Trust, is our education programs of webinars called Bayabuza. And Bayabuza means you ask, we answer. And we saw this as an opportunity to offer academic support to our high school students to pass their English exams, focusing on different plays by Shakespeare and other literature that they had to cover in their written exam. So it was additional thing to our virtual festival. So overall 7-day festival with Bayabuza webinars and performances in the video format. We had this whole countdown to 7 p.m. like we usually do. 7 p.m. starts in the theater. On our YouTube channel, it was the launch of every performance each night was 7 p.m. countdown, and then the virtual performances took place. And we had a very good reach, I think, for almost about 600 people online that managed to engage with us either during the festival week or afterwards. And what's great is that we now have these videos available online and people can still view our virtual festival that happens in September on our website. It's still available there. What I also found is, the importance of, in the time of COVID, in the time of any trauma and stress, and where any arts, and for me, performing arts and being creative, takes away a certain level of anxiety and pressure, and through creativity and through artistic activities, people that we work with, at least we can measure the impact of our work with them, manage to thrive and deal with the challenging situations better than if you don't have the access to some of the artistic activities.
Kseniya, I joined in on the virtual Shakespeare Schools Festival, and the young people who are acting online, they were amazing. Your team did an exemplary job. People might want to know, is this something you'll continue doing post-COVID, even when you will be performing in the theaters live?
I think, for us, virtual festival was a great opportunity to look at ways in which performance is delivered. So, for example, new workshops are now being developed for next year in our program, where we're looking at different way of performing on stage versus performing theater. It's a whole different style of acting. So I think virtual space, what was exciting as well, is that we could reach more audience than just immediate audience coming into the theater space. So the reach beyond South Africa, it could be global, and we can showcase these talented young people, in the virtual space, which is, I think, for us, it's very exciting. Most likely we will continue looking at virtual space versus what theatre spaces would be offering. And I think it's going to be dependent on COVID situation quite heavily. But even if the COVID will allow for us to return to theatres, and for me, theatre space, that real magic of what happens, you know, for the children on stage performing in the front of live audience. Virtual space is exciting to explore different professions for these young people. You know, through our festival, we had some feedback where young people said, you know, we love idea of, you know, learning now and going into studying filming and editing and becoming a cameraman or sound man, or, you know, so a whole space of possible new professions that was interesting to hear from our participants in the virtual space. So it could be most probably a little bit of both going forward, at least for 2021.
Research shows that performance art improves confidence in young people and also contributes to their mental health status. We have seen this with your program because teachers, parents, and even the young people themselves who have been part of your program have reported that they feel better about themselves. Their self-esteem has been improved. Share with us what you have experienced over the last 10 years.
Caroline, I think for me, every festival day and every performance, when I see the children on stage, I see that magic in them when their nerves, they stand backstage, they look at the audience, they come onto the stage, they perform Shakespeare's, they perform something so complicated, and they're conquering something so difficult. And I think stepping into a different world of the theatre, but also conquering their fears of being in front of the live audience and being congratulated at the end. I think what's important is we congratulate every single participant, and we make them feel unique and special, and you know, congratulate them on the achievement, so that that particular young person will always feel that sense of self-worth and self-confidence that they can take for the rest of their lives. And in that way, the magic happens when they start feeling that they're worthy and they can take more different tasks in hand and do it with confidence. And I guess the mental and emotional health is extremely important, and our program has proven to do that for many of the young people we work with.
I know that some of the young people you worked with have actually ended up becoming directors of plays professionally and are actors now.
They have. Quite a number of these young students went into a profession. One of our greatest achievers from 2010, she played Lady Macbeth, and today Amira Conrad, she's won enormous amount of awards of her theatre work and been to all over the world with a production called The Fall from 2015. So just one example of many that made it professionally and really successfully. But for them, the sort of the springboard going into this industry, they all reflect being the Shakespeare Schools Festival. So we're hoping to, you know, to develop more of these young people going into profession and making some amazing work in the theatre industry.
And I know you are supported by different donors, of course, working with you. I'm very much aware who these funders are, whether they are private donors, government, or community leaders who are supporting your work, including actors and actresses in South Africa. Now, what message do you have for governments and private donors when it comes to funding performance arts, nonprofit going forward post-COVID?
I think message from me just to really not to look at the performing arts being a sort of a nice to have. It's extremely important for the development of young people and, or, you know, and the adults alike. Arts can give us so much hope and can unite people and can give people that strength to see through difficult times and difficult circumstances, where they can feel that they're worthy and they can actually make better decisions in life. And in the performing arts and creativity, that space allows for people to grow. It's not just a once-off handout. It's a quality and many qualities that people can learn from performing arts that they can take and implement in their lives for a very long time. So I would just appeal to funders not to overlook performing arts being just entertainment. It's an important platform where people can grow, develop, and become strong individuals and strong citizens to create better society. anywhere in the world. And in South Africa, I think it's just a perfect opportunity to unite people through arts, and funding obviously is something that everyone in the performing arts and different creative industries have been battling, and not to overlook the importance of arts in our lives.
What message do you have for other nonprofits like you who may have been struggling during this COVID-19 and are thinking of closing their doors? Encourage them.
Just, this is the time for us to apply our creativity in the space of difficult times. Even if this programs might have to, be shorter or smaller, or, for me, what was difficult is not to see the impact of actually seeing 100 schools versus only 18 schools taking part, for example, in some of the cases. It's not about the numbers. I think it's about the impact and the quality, and not to lose hope, and reach out to other organizations. I think network is extremely important. Do some research of similar organizations doing similar work, and I would welcome you to connect with us and, network and sharing stories with each other. This is where I think other nonprofits can find that support. We're not as separate entities. We're doing work together, achieving, the results, and working and delivering this, creative activities, and working with people and developing that sense, giving people a sense of hope. So remember not to lose your own hope, because a lot of people depend on you to give them that sense of hope. So stay together, stay connected, and just be strong, because I think it's not forever, and we can conquer this. And I'll be very willing to communicate with people, and contact us, and let's learn from each other and be strong together.
Very well said. Where can people find you?
Simply going online. We are Educape Trust as one website to learn about organization, and also looking for Shakespeare Schools Festival South Africa as our flagship project. Will also take you to our website about the festival. Both of them have contact details, and hope to hear from people and connect.
Thank you so much. We are really honored to have you today. Kseniya Filinova-Bruton, the founder of Educape Trust and its flagship program, the Shakespeare Schools Festival. It's been an honor to have you today, Kseniya.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and please stay safe, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you watch us and check out Educape Trust and the Shakespeare Schools Festivals, and contribute to helping build confidence and the mental health status of young people in South Africa who are part of this amazing performance art program. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. As always, it's all about connecting people, raising funds, and impacting lives.